What's going on, guys? Welcome to the channel, my very small and humble channel that has like probably 10 views. Today I want to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind for quite some time, and it's probably been on a lot of other people's minds as well. And it's the issue with Fallout 76. I say the issue like if there's like one issue, but the issue I actually want to talk about is something different, and I actually wrote some things down so because I can't exactly remember everything off the top of my head when I think about it. It's only when I start playing a game that I actually remember it. So roll that crappy intro that I bought off the interweebs. Sweet. Cool. Alright. So, Fallout 76 versus Fallout 4. What I'm not going to talk about is the past bugs with the cheaters and the dupers, and the server instability, and the solo versus multiplayer aspect of it, or Obsidian versus Bethesda. I'm going to just basically make a few mentions on sort of how Fallout 4 made me feel when I first played it, how Fallout 76 made me first feel when I first played it, and just sort of go off the feeling more or less. So I'm not going to really rip on either of the games, nor am I going to go back to the old games like Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas, although, you know, those are good games. I really just want to just compare these two games here, whether I play on Xbox, and sometimes I'm on PC, but these games here, so we've got Fallout 4 for the Xbox as well as the PC, more or less just kind of use it for modding, and yeah, I don't know if you can see that, there's a glare, but basically this is when it first came out. Oh my god, I pre-ordered this, and this cost me so much money, and you got what, 500 atoms, which isn't much nowadays, but it's the Tricentennial version, which ran me like 120 bucks for this. I want to compare the two games just because they basically use the same kind of files, and they kind of have a similar feel with how everything is in the game. But this is basically all you had in it. Just this. I don't even know what this is. Instructions. There's something for Doom Eternal. I guess when I was coming out. Oh, and Rage was coming out at the time. You got like the 1776 to 2076 on the inside, and that art and whatnot. There's nothing behind the CD itself, but yeah. So dropping shit. I'm gonna cut this out. Now that I'm done fumbling shit all over the place, let's get into it. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the feeling. The feeling that I get from basically jumping into this game for Fallout 4 is when I first stepped out of the vault. The music that hit me was amazing, and I'll throw a little bit of it here. So that's kind of like when you first get out of the vault and you look, there's just nobody. There's just empty void, kind of like that sound of just, I don't want to say sad, but sort of almost like a very light despair, as in just everything's gone and everything's empty, and that feeling that you get for the first time playing Fallout 4 with that music combined was really, really good. But playing the game overall, I would say, I don't know, compared to Fallout 76, when you get out of the vault, well, first, you don't get out of the vault. You do your character creation, that's pretty much all the same, but when you get out of the vault, you don't even get out of the vault. Like, you just go through a white screen that blinds the fuck out of you, and you go through a cut screen. You don't actually get out of the vault and stand there. You just get through a cut screen, get thrown into a random server, and if you played back when I played, when it was the stress test or the beta, or when the game first came out, you just had one robot standing out front, and then that was it. Codsworth, you actually had to go find in Fallout 4, which, if you followed it the first time through, the first playthrough, you probably found Codsworth your first time, and that was kind of like your first NPC that you had dialogue with. No, this is just some sort of random Mr. Handy that sits out front and kind of introduces you, just has some really generic dialogue. And now with the update, with the Wastelanders update, you just walk down the stairs and there's two human beings, and they ask you a bunch of generic questions, which none of it matters. None of what you tell them matters. You get nothing. You get nothing. Whereas in Fallout 4, if you do the quest with Codsworth, he'll take you around, and you're gonna kill a couple bugs. You're gonna pick up your son's book, which gives you an extra special point, and you're gonna immediately have a place to loot. You're gonna immediately see a workshop that you can, a workbench that you can take once you've cleared out that first place. And I think that immediately just gives you, there's something there for you when you first get out. Moving on. Feeling recognized in the game. So, compared to Fallout 76's dialogue system, and sort of like the things that you do in the game, I feel like in Fallout 76, like you just aren't recognized. Like, anything that you do, whatever you do, drop a nuke even, the NPCs don't react. They don't react. They might react to a few tidbits, little nerd size things that you do that are particularly set up to trigger after you've completed certain things that they might vaguely mention. Sort of like if you go to Foundation and you walk by one of the settlers and the settler's like, "You got the gold!" That triggers after you've completed the quest, and that's the only thing they make reference to. Whereas in Fallout 4, everything that you do major events or do something that changes and alters sort of the Commonwealth or has some sort of impact on the Commonwealth. The NPCs and random NPCs and key NPCs, they all have something to talk about. Even on the radio, you hear the guy from Diamond City, I forget his name, but he even talks about the Vault Dweller, what he's done, his accomplishments. So it makes you feel like, oh shit, I did that. I'm being recognized for what I did. I'm being recognized for taking out the Institute or taking out these super mutants, or I'm being, or he talks about when the Brotherhood of Steel fly in, and he talks about that. I'm like, oh, hey, yeah, I saw that too, or yeah, I'm part of the Brotherhood of Steel now, or so on and so forth. Like, I could list all kinds of things that when you talk to NPCs or listen to the radio in the game, that what you do is recognized. Even if you side with the Brotherhood of Steel, your rank is recognized. You're recognized as a knight once you get promoted to knight. If you go through the quest line and become a paladin, there's a way to become a paladin. I won't spoil it if you haven't played Fallout 4. Some of you may or not, which is surprising. Some people haven't. Some people refuse to. Some people are too young. Some people haven't had the chance. But going through the Brotherhood of Steel quest line, you actually felt like you were part of their sort of like military family. You had ranks, and reaching the rank of recruit, then initiate, and then picking up knight, and then eventually being able to pick up paladin if you choose to go that route, and eventually towards the, I would say, end game part of the game, of the story at least, you can reach Sentinel, which is like the highest honor that can be bestowed upon you, and one of the highest honors and ranks that you can hold within the Brotherhood of Steel for that chapter. So I think that was really cool, and you also received something. I remember being an initiate, you went through and proved your worth. You went through a kind of like a gauntlet, if you will, or a test. You basically went on your first mission as a civilian with a knight, or excuse me, a paladin. You go through a paladin dance, and you go on the first mission. You come back, you talk, become an initiate, and when the Brothers still roll through, then word is put in that you've done great things and you are promoted tonight. But it's not just that. Like when you get promoted tonight, you're given a set of power armor, and in power armor, Fallout 4, everything feels solid when you get into it. Unlike Fallout 76, where we'll talk about that later, but it just feels so amazing. In Fallout 4, power armor is completely different from Fallout 76. You don't just shove it in your pocket. It's something that you salvage around the waistline. A lot of people, if they played the game, will tell you that they pretty much just ran around and would try to collect all the power armor frames that were lying around the Commonwealth that they could and have them kind of displayed at their camp. But if you played like Brotherhood of Steel like me, it was more like commandeering. You were more or less just grabbing that technology, if you will, left over from the war, from that military technology, so it doesn't fall into the hands of the raiders, which we see the raiders and gunners use, power armor all the time. So being a Brotherhood member, you don't want that. So, going around and grabbing all the power, the thing is that power armor, you might not have all the pieces to it when you first start out. So when you get to the Brotherhood and you're promoted tonight, you get given a full-blown suit of T60 armor that is knight armor, and it just feels like you feel like a badass. And then you get sent on another mission where you get to jump on a vertibird and use the minigun and take out giant creatures and super mutants, and you get to prove to the Elder that you're worth something. You can do something, that you're not a waste of time for them, bringing you into the Brotherhood. Some of you don't like the Brotherhood, and that's cool too. Like liking all the other factions as well. But I mainly played the Brotherhood of Steel. But this is just an example. I'm sure there's other examples if you played with the other factions that you just don't exactly get in Fallout 76. I know you can't exactly line yourself with the Raiders in Fallout 4, but like you can in Fallout 76. But I mean, does it really feel like you're aligned with the Raiders in Fallout 76? Does it really feel like you're aligned with the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 76? No. So, on to the next thing. Transition.
Okay, students, settle down.
So, there are also consequences.
Consequences.
Not doing something or doing something had consequences, like nuking the CIT ruins. That left a huge crater that was radiated, filled with ghouls. That was a huge thing. Or something small like killing certain people made other people hostile. Or siding with certain factions made other factions disavow you. Or you disavowed their faction, I guess technically is what it would be. And so you'd be enemies with that faction. If you attacked them, they would become hostile against you and hate you and try to kill you. You had consequences. You had consequences. There were cause and effects in Fallout 4. Where Fallout 76, I could side with Foundation, Brotherhood of Steel, and Raiders, and go off and kill them in the Commonwealth, and not have any repercussions, like kill a couple of Brotherhood initiates or hopefuls or recruits standing around Drop Site V9, the place that everybody likes to fast travel when we drop a nuke on a queen, that place. Kill them and fast travel back to Fort Atlas and nothing. They weren't around to see it. I get it. Okay, what about just killing raiders all the time? Somebody's got to notice something, report back. Like you gotta. There's nothing. You kill a bunch of settlers out there. I don't know. I'm assuming they'd probably become hostile if you killed them within their own settlement within Fallout 76. But it's like going to White Springs and killing all the robots. They're gonna be pissed off at you until you go to a different server, and then they're like, "We don't care, whatever." And they're not a faction, but it just. There's no consequences. There's only looking up on the internet to decide how you're going to end the mission. if there's a split decision, whereas it's like a fork in the road. If I go left, I'm gonna get this item and give up obtaining this item, or vice versa. And so you're really just looking up the end, like, well, what kind of loot do I want? Because at the end, it really doesn't matter. No one cares. It doesn't. Nothing is affected by other factions in the game. Nothing is affected by other players. Nothing is affected by any other NPC. There's just no consequences. There's nothing on the game. I diverse. Well, let's move on. Talking to NPCs. Oof. In Fallout 76, I felt like all of the NPCs were like talking to fucking potatoes. You could spam through all of their dialogue, and at the end, there's not really any mission started or map updated. I mean, sometimes you'll have a map updated for if they mention something. Not as much as like walking into Diamond City and having your map updated, and when you walk into Diamond City in Fallout 4 and you listen to the NPCs talking, you really listen to them. You really just want to know what they're talking about. Whereas in Fallout 76, it's the same like 3 lines repeated over and over, and then you go and talk to them. There's like 5 lines of dialogue you choose from, and it really doesn't end in anything. Like, you don't obtain anything, you don't obtain any information from them, and they just feel like they're literally that AI, just NPCs, just there. That's it. They're just there to, I don't know what you would call it, like sprinkled out throughout the Commonwealth. Just throw some NPCs out, and they're all sprinkled around. Just, here's some NPCs, and they're generic as fuck. Yeah, I could probably name like 3 different NPCs that you probably come across. Generic NPC 1, where they, in Fallout 76, they just give you, oh, you want a comic book? 2, you want some wood? Be chopping wood. And the third one would be probably the scavenger / settler with the binoculars. And that's every single NPC is like that. Whereas Fallout 4 is more diverse NPCs. There's more random encounters. There's more types of NPCs just out in the Commonwealth being people. There's more dialogue. There's more things to them. Sometimes you get started on side quests, and that's something that Fallout 76 really lacks. I don't really want to dog on Fallout 76 the whole time, because Fallout 76 has its positives as well, but I digress. Moving on. Transition. Gotta make a transition. Transition. One thing that Fallout 4 has that Fallout 76 doesn't have. Although with the new update coming, I guess that's kind of like their answer to mods in Fallout 4. Community made mods, not the Atomic Shop crap. That's bleh. We're talking about mods that the community's made, uploaded, and downloaded. I play with Brotherhood of Steel mods all the time. I play with Settlement mods all the time. I try new mods for the very first time just to see what's up, but it just enhances my gaming experience. It expands it beyond Far Harbor, beyond Nuka World, which are great DLCs, by the way. And I'm able to actually play the game like if it were new for the first time, some sort of new experience, and I really like that. Or I'm able to add changes or subtract things I didn't like from the game and kind of play it my own way. I'm also able to use the creation kit, kind of make my own thing. Like I said, I own the Fallout 4 on PC version just to, make my own mods. I don't anymore, but Fallout 4 I play on Xbox, which kind of sucks. It's really laggy. The load times, whatever. Moving on. Fallout 76's quests. So, Fallout 76's quests are more just fetch quests, right? Go here, grab this, go here, grab this, come back. You're fast traveling back and forth so often that you're just flying through dialogue. You're just clicking or clicking, just like get through this, Fuck, and oh my god, next, you do that level 1 through 50 through the main campaign, fucking sucks. Fallout 4, you actually kind of want to listen to what they're saying. You kind of want to listen to not only the NPC, but what your character is going to say and how he's going to say it, and how the characters are going to react after you say it. As well as your companions. That's another thing. Companions. You don't have companions in Fallout 76. You have real world friends. And those, I mean, the players, I mean, fuck, man. They don't interact with the NPCs like you. They're not constantly with you like a companion is in the game. That's something that I miss as well. Preston Garvey does suck. I get it. Here's the thing with Fallout 4, though. Preston Garvey does suck, yes. Fallout 76 doesn't have Preston Garvey, so I guess Fallout 76 has one thing that's good. Preston Garvey, here's the thing with Preston Garvey when people bring him up in the Minutemen. You don't have to play as the Minutemen. You don't have to come out of the vault and go straight to Concord and pick up Preston Garvey, take him to Sanctuary, and become the general of the Minutemen. You don't have to do any of that. You are not forced to do that. You can complete the campaign. You can still go through the story. You can still go through side quests. You aren't locked out of anything. Not even the castle, which, spoiler alert, is like a huge base for like the Minutemen that you can go take over. It's like a settlement that you can have. You can take that yourself. I think you might be locked out of the armory if you just don't talk to Preston Garvey like at all. But with mods these days, you can get into it. Without mods, if you want to play vanilla, it's still a pretty good place. If you just don't like Preston Garvey. I don't like Preston Garvey. Also, there's mods that turn him off and his quests and everything. But that was one thing that I heard from Fallout 4 why people hate it. Is the whole Preston Garvey siding with Minutemen. You can just not do any of that. You don't have to do that. Some people just don't know how to play role-playing games. Where role-playing games you can do whatever you want. You can approach the game however you want. You can approach the story however you want. You can go anywhere you want, do whatever you want. But a lot of people, they pick up a game and they feel like they need to be spoon-fed exactly what to do and follow that to a T, and that's the game. But that's not the case. So I feel like a lot of people have a bad experience with Fallout 4 if they don't actually play a role-play game in the way that a role-play game is supposed to be. Anyway. Within the campaign, there isn't just one outcome. I mean, given Fallout 76 has a couple of options, being the latest one with the whole Fort Atlas situation with you can either have Paladin Romani or Knight. Fuck, I chose him. I don't even remember his fucking name. That's how much I actually care. But you can choose him. Really, in the end, it doesn't matter. Nothing happens. Nothing changes. There's nothing that's going to affect you negatively or positively, really. It's just a preference. Whereas in Fallout 4, there's really no one way to play. There's no one way to start and end the campaign story. There's no one way to approach it or end it. There's so many ways you can go about it. There's so many ways you can approach so many quests, and they do all have meaning. They do all have some sort of ending where whatever you do during the quest, whatever your choices are, do have some sort of impact. They do have that sort of consequence slash fucking word, whatever. The point is what you do matters in the game, especially the campaign. Fallout 76, it doesn't matter. I think most people just who are really going through the campaign just really want to know, well, what should I choose? The only reason why they're asking why they should choose is they really just want to know, is this going to affect me being aligned with somebody, or what's the loot? What's the end loot? What do I, if I just want this loot, what do I have to do to get to this loot? Whereas Fallout 4, you're not really worried about that. You're not really worried about the loot. In fact, legendaries. You're not really worried about legendaries. When you do come across a legendary, dude, it's awesome. It's amazing. When you pick up a legendary, it's awesome. Especially if it's a weapon that you use or armor that you use. you feel like you're holding something powerful. Whereas Fallout 76, that is an enemy game. Transition. In Fallout 76, I feel like the game is all about just staring at your map, waiting and waiting and waiting, and just waiting for an event to pop up. And then once an event pops off, you're fast traveling to that event. And then you go from that event to another event, and that event, and you're literally just trying to get the event rewards such as caps, XP, legendary cores, now with the update, treasury notes, and possibly, I don't know, legendaries? Something that barely ever drops anymore because we can craft them. That's another thing, is half the legendaries that you get in this game are just so fucking trash in Fallout 76. They're almost unusable. They're just dog shit anymore. Fuck. These are what I first got on the first weekend that this update dropped. I don't get those no more. It feels like it's a hype. That first weekend always gonna have high RNG to reel you in, and then after that you keep re-rolling and you just get dog shit. Moving on. So I guess I'll conclude this already long video. I really just wanted to keep this like 8 to 10 minutes, but my ass keeps talking, so I'm just gonna end the video. So peace, thanks for watching. Subscribe or not, don't care, not sponsored. Bye.